This is the Snack Box Micro Lite. It's made by JunkFood Arcades and it retails for $165 USD if you can find it in stock. This particular model is compatible with PC and Switch. It's currently offered in quite a few different colors as well as an artwork case if you want to display your own artwork. It's fully customizable and there are convex as well as concave buttons offered, both of which we'll be taking a look at in this video. As far as internals go, we have a Brook board with Kale Chalk red switches. And I've also gone ahead and purchased the Kale pink switches, which I'll be sharing my thoughts on later in the video. There are 3 SOCD modes to choose from. You have your standard mode, your last input mode, as well as your Capcom regulation mode, and vice versa. You're able to switch between these 3 SOCD modes by using the app, which we'll be taking a look at as well, or by holding down a specific direction when plugging the controller in. So let's talk about build quality. You're not going to find anything 3D printed on this case unless there are specific parts that I don't know about. However, the shell itself is made out of a polycarbonate on the one-piece case, which is what this specific model has. On the older models and the XLs, they're machined out of HDPE, which is a durable material. And for the artwork case, the top is acrylic. So they don't feel cheap, they feel solid. You could beat the hell out of these things and they're not going to crack and they're not going to cave in and it's not going to feel like you're using a cheap controller. The buttons also feel really nice. It comes with concave buttons. So the center is concave and there is a lip on the outer edge. They have a matte finish to them and they feel nice and grippy in your hands. I also purchased a set of convex buttons, which have a more of a shiny finish, sort of like a traditional arcade button, because I kind of wanted that more traditional arcade button feel on the right hand. So on the attack buttons, I wanted to be able to feel like I was playing on more of a stick and, kind of slam them. And, sometimes you want to slide your fingers over them for things like that. The shiny finish definitely helps. So it's really a personal preference thing. They all feel really nice, which is why I kept half concave and half convex on mine personally. I didn't want to give up that matte feeling because I liked it so much, but on the attack buttons, I did want to have that more traditional button feel. Along the top left of the controller, you have your additional buttons such as L3, R3, touchpad, home, select, and start. And on the back, you have a USB-C port. It does come with a braided cable, which is pretty nice. It has a 90-degree angle on the USB-C end and it's USB-A on the other side. So as I mentioned earlier, the Snack Box is highly customizable. It has Kale Chalk switches in it, which are keyboard switches, and they come in many different varieties. You can also get different color cases for them, concave buttons, convex buttons in all different colors, and you can make it really feel like the way you would like it to feel. I have the stock switches in it, which are chalk red. They are working on a chalk amber, which is exclusive to JunkFood Arcades. It's gonna have less of a travel and it's gonna have more of a clicky feel. So it's definitely gonna be nice for fighting games where you wanna be more precise and you want that button to activate as soon as you press it. With that smaller travel, I think those are gonna feel really nice. They aren't available at the time, so I was not able to review them. However, the stock buttons feel very nice. I did purchase Kale Pinks, which require a lot less force to activate, specifically because my left ring finger, and this seems to be very common, is weaker than I thought it was. So when you're doing, for instance, down, forward, left, or down, left in this case, because we're on a button box, the left ring finger doesn't like to cooperate. So I figured, let me get some lighter switches and, see if it'll be easier to activate the left directional. Did it make much of a difference? Probably not, honestly. And I'm not sure I would recommend the Kale Chalk Pinks to anybody who rests their fingers on the buttons because they are extremely easy to activate and you're probably going to end up with accidental activation. So I would only recommend the Pinks to people who maybe hover over the stick and use it more like a keyboard, who also want a lighter activation. Let's talk about form factor and portability. This is going to be a major selling point for a lot of people. It's extremely light, it's very thin, and it can fit in pretty much any bag. It's going to be very easy to carry with you, and you might even be able to put in your pants, depending on the type of pants you wear. As far as the size goes, it's pretty much the size of the main part of your keyboard. So where my left shift key starts to where my right shift key ends, it's not even that long. As far as height goes, if I align it with my spacebar at the bottom, it goes slightly above my F keys at the top. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what the switches sound like. Like I mentioned earlier, it comes with Kale Chalk switches and I'm running the stock switches in it at the moment. JunkFood does have an app that allows you to change the brightness, animations, and LED colors of the controller. You can also update your firmware through it. You used to be able to change the SOCD modes through the app. However, there is a much better way of doing it now, and that's by holding a button while you connect it to USB. So that's a lot easier now. I will cycle through all of the RGB modes now. I believe I got them all, so go ahead and check them out. But like I mentioned, everything's customizable. I actually turn them off when I play, and I have them activate as I press a button, and it'll activate into like a nice cyan, and it'll after that fade into a pink, which I find very pleasing. And I don't really notice it while I'm playing because I keep the brightness of it down, but it's just something, you know, actually nice to have. Alright, so now that all the features are out of the way, let's talk about what matters the most. What's it like to play on the snack box? Is it worth the money? Should you consider something else or go with this? At $165, I think it's a good deal. If you need PS5 compatibility, you're looking at an extra $100, so that's going to bring it up to $265. At that point, you may be looking at other options. The Amber switches that are being released sound very promising and can definitely sway somebody to go with a snack box over other options as well. As far as transitioning from a full-size traditional stick, I did face a few challenges or have to make some adjustments to the way that I play. For instance, I would always put my full-size stick on my lap to play, and that's something I haven't done since purchasing this. It is lappable, however, it's just not as comfortable as putting it on the desk for me. Snackbox, or JunkFood rather, does sell a heavy metal plate that you can replace the bottom plate with on this. That'll give it some more weight, and that should help with lapping it. However, it's still lappable, and the non-slip pad on the bottom definitely helps with keeping it in place. As far as comparison goes, I don't want to draw any conclusions yet because I have the most time on the snack box. But if I'm comparing it to the Slab Mini immediately, which runs around the same price, this Slab has got the build quality over this 1,000 times over. The build quality of the Slab Mini it's kind of like a work of art. Honestly, if I don't end up maining the Slab Mini, I'm probably going to keep it anyway because it just looks that nice. And it pretty much won my heart over immediately, and I've kept it on my desk ever since it arrived, and I've just been admiring it. I was almost afraid to use it at first because it's so nice, but as far as build quality goes, and I can't talk about functionality or actually playing, the Slab Mini definitely has the snack box beat. Comparing it to the Razer Kitsune, now that I just received yesterday, so I haven't really used it much. However, I can say immediately that the buttons on the Razer Kitsune are larger, and the spacing, it feels right. So if you're coming from a full-size stick with 30mm buttons, the Razer Kitsune is by far going to be the easiest transition for you as far as you know, your right hand placement goes. Even, I would say even over a hitbox. I have not used an official hitbox, but those have 24mm buttons, and even though I believe Razer advertises their buttons as 24, they are definitely larger than the 24mm buttons on the snack box and on the Slab Mini. So that's the Snack Box Micro Lite by JunkFood Arcades. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them and I'll do my best to answer them. If you're interested in a review of the Slab Mini or the Razer Kitsune, keep an eye out on my channel. I never ask for subscriptions, but I'm going to do my best on those videos. This is the first review I've done in a very long time, so I appreciate the views and any feedback you may have, and hope to see you in the next video. All right, peace.